might be a big one.
Hey guys, Fred Boom Boom Rambanis, and I'm excited to share with you the all-new Frog Factory by GSM. This is a brand new company, started from scratch with some very familiar products. GSM just acquired and purchased the Stanley Rivet brand. So you're gonna see the top toed, the Ribbits, and also they purchased the Boom Boom Frog. So we've got the Boom Boom Frog. We're gonna have everything amphibious under this Frog Factory and some really cool new products coming soon. We're working kind of on the hush with, but it's coming out, and guys, it's exciting stuff. So can't wait to share with you all the great products.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Crispin Powley here with GSM Outdoors. Thank you for joining us, tuning in. And, this has kind of become a little bit of a tradition for us when we acquire a brand is we kind of go live and, explain to everybody kind of what our intent is, what our vision for the brand is. But the Frog Factory is a little different than that. We did acquire a brand or two, but this is a organic, all from scratch brand. Didn't exist until very recently. It's been a project we've had in the works for quite some time, and we just believe that there's an opportunity to bring some really cool stuff by anglers for anglers to the market in the realm of frogs, toads, hollow bodies. And one of the first things that we did was identified a guy that was already part of our family, whom I would consider an expert on frogs, a guy that's always been synonymous with frog fishing, has kind of built a large part of his career around catching them on a frog. And I want to welcome him in to join me now, and that's Fred Rambanis. You might know him as Boom Boom. You might know him as Fred, but that is a frogging son of a gun. And he is a very valued part of the GSM fishing family. And so, Fred, thanks for jumping on with me and talking Frog Factory.
Hey, thank you, Crispin. This is so exciting. I mean, I really, this is like a dream come true for me. I grew up out west. I grew up fishing the California Delta. I grew up throwing a frog. I cut my teeth tournament fishing with a frog. And I think there was a time out west now, January all the way through December, that every single event I caught at least one fish on a frog on the Delta. So, I mean, for me, frog fishing has kind of been a staple. It's become more than just a technique that I'm good at. It's almost muscle memory at this point. It's something that if all fails, I'm gonna go to a frog. And so having this opportunity to work with you guys, GSM with the Frog Factory, man, this is gonna unleash some awesome ideas. We're gonna come out with some products that have never been seen before, and I'm pretty fired up. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So are we. And to just give a little background. So, one of the cool things about, and I want to brag on our team over at GSM, like, I think sometimes these companies like ours kind of get an undue bad rap, right? Like, I can't say enough good things about the level of knowledge, the authenticity of the group of people cumulatively behind the scenes on the fishing side at GSM. Not just on the fishing side, actually. Some of our upper management are hardcore tournament anglers. But, we're not just sitting around going, hey, if we were to add another color to a Cinco, we could make X more dollars, right? We're looking at the market. We're listening to our pros. We're listening to retailers and consumers. And we just saw an opportunity to dive headfirst into a genre of fishing that is really, I feel like there's kind of like swim baits and, there's these little genres of I don't want to call them niches because they're bigger than that, but it is a refined genre. And frog fishing is one of those. There's a little bit of mystique to it. There's a lot. I remember, when I was much younger, man, like all the tips and tricks that we would try to boil frogs and do, do all these little trick deals with braided line around the hooks and like all this crazy stuff, and try to get more bites and more hookups on frogs. And we wanted to take that to the fishing world in a new way. But what we did, and you know this all too well, Fred, is we identified a few things that we could go and purchase that we believed in to set the foundation for this new brand. And then we're going to build off of that. And one of them was the Boom Boom Frog, right? Bought it from Stanford. They've done a great job with it. It's a frog. It's a design. That's it. The Boom Boom Frog. A regular model, a Poppin model, but lots of features and things built into that frog that you were the designer of, you were the creator of. And before we go into the Ribbit and the Top Toad, let's talk about the Boom Boom Frog for a minute. I mean, point out some stuff to us. Take us behind the scenes on how you got where we are today with that product.
Yeah, so the Boom Boom Frog, this was a bait that took me about 2 years to design from scratch, from a drawing actually. And there's a lot of unique features to this frog. And one of the things you'll notice right away, you can see there's a little patch on the back we call frog fur. I did a little demonstration on my Instagram showing how you could actually hang a bass from it. The teeth on a bass is like the hook part of the Velcro, and that loop, it catches it. So they have a harder time blowing it back out. I like to consider it kind of like training wheels for guys that have never thrown frogs before. Or if you like to practice with a frog but not hook them, cut the hooks off the frog. And that's a good way for the fish to really show themselves before it spits it out. And you can go back. If you get a frog blow up, and I promise you, I've done this for many years now. If you get a frog blow up in a practice for a tournament, do not set the hook on that fish, because you can get that fish to bite again. I've made 60-mile run at Pickwick just for one bite in a bush. And I caught that fish, and it was a 6-pounder that carried me through an elite tournament years ago. So the frog fur is a unique feature on this frog. And then the other thing is, you'll notice the bottom has got a little eye on it. Oops, sorry, put it in the camera there. It's got a little eye, because a lot of times you're throwing a frog, you're actually mimicking more than just an amphibious creature. You're mimicking a bait fish of some sort. This one, actually, I just got off the water right now. I've been catching a bunch of fish on this at Lake Darnell. The water temperature just hit 60 degrees, and those early fish moving in. I love this mud bug color. It's just a brown. It's just a natural color. It works great early spring. The sides are real flat on it, so when you walk this frog back and forth, it really snaps back and forth. We made this frog real easy to walk. And one of the things you'll notice on it, the weight, it doesn't impede with the hooks. You see where the weight is on the back. It's triangular. It doesn't impede with the hook, so you get the best collapsibility when you get a blow up to set the hook. And then the other thing is the eye tie that we use. It's weighted a little bit, so it counterbalances. So when you walk this frog in place, just by twitching the rod and reeling the handle at the same time, it'll walk one way, and if you kill it, it'll actually give it an extra little hop to it. Very unique. It kind of like teeter-totters. And this sucker, I mean, you can fish this thing through lily pads, heavy grass, matted vegetation. I mean, it's the ultimate frog. And I've used a bunch of different frogs. I used all the little ideas I've put together over the last 20 years to develop this frog. And I'm just so excited that you guys purchased it. So this is really cool with GSM.
We're excited too, man. I mean, I've got a little group of inner circle anglers that I talk to pretty regularly. And I told them about that. And one of them in particular told me that cut the hooks off. He's good. I've got 2 Boom Boom Frogs I keep in my boat with the hooks cut off strictly for practice. And he said, man, he goes, sometimes I literally have a hard time shaking them off when they get that frog fur in their mouth. Right. So
yeah,
that's a super cool deal. And then you've got a Poppin model as well, right?
Right. So we've got the Poppin model. And what's unique about this Poppin model, it's almost like a pencil popper style mouth on it. And it really sprays the water. So when you're snapping it back and forth, it'll actually spit water out. It's actually a more subtle frog. I can get the snap in this original Boom Boom Frog and make it louder and more commotion. If I'm fishing heavy pressured fish, with if I'm fishing behind a guy down the bank or something, I like to throw this dude because I can make it walk. It's a little bit quieter. It does spray water, as though like a, bait fish on smaller, fish. So, I mean, it's really just a good all-purpose bait, frog. I like this around docks, lay down, stuff like that, undercut banks.
Yeah, that was going to be my question is, how do you differentiate which one, when, and where? So that's a pretty awesome answer. I mean, you answered my question before I asked it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so like my heavy vegetation, mats, even open water, get a little wind or something, I like this one. Subtlety, just, I mean, like laydowns and stuff like that. This is the deal right here. Skipping it up underneath docks. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little thinner body. As you can see, whoops. It's a little bit thinner body. It actually uses a 3/0 versus a 4/0 on the regular frog. So it is a little bit smaller. But it does catch the same fish. So
before we move on, tell me, I mean, we're going to take advantage of having you here. Tell me your frog setup.
Yeah, so this is really cool because I just signed with you guys with the Phoenix rod lineup, and I've designed rods for frog fishing for several companies over the years, and we've done limited edition runs, and they've all been very well. So I was a little concerned going into it with a new rod, like what rod am I going to go with? But I do have some buddies out west that fish Phoenix rods, and they said you need to get the M1 7.4 heavy rod, and so that was like. I ordered 4 of them, and I found out I like this rod for a lot of other things. I love it for a football head jig. I love it for some of my short pitches and stuff like that. And I actually caught a bunch of fish on a buzzbait as well today. That new Berserk buzzbait.
That's right.
Again, that's a Buckeye. I got some video I'll share with that too. But I caught all my fish today, frogging and buzzbaits. Probably about 30 to 50 fish. It's insane how they're biting right now. But yeah, this rod is absolutely perfect. I use Cortland Master Braid. This is 50 pound.
Okay.
I mean, it's another one with sponsors. I know it's not GSM product, but
no,
they are.
I want to pick your brain. I want to see what your setup is.
So Cortland Master Braid, they've been around since 1915. They used to do paracords and candle wicks and stuff in World War I. So they've been around for a long time, and they've been in the fly fishing business forever. And they've got the spindles and everything. They make everything in Syracuse, Washington. So built in the USA, great braided line.
Awesome.
Perfect for frog. But this Phoenix rod is incredible with frogging. Incredible. Okay. Incredible backbone. You want a rod when you are frogging, you want a rod with some tip to it. You got to have some tip. You got to be able to cast that thing with accuracy. So a lot of times if you're skipping and stuff, you don't have a tip to it. It's too stiff and it's like a broomstick of a rod, like an extra heavy or something like that. I just feel like you're missing out on a lot of casts and opportunities there. But also you want to have it load up. I don't like a rod that shuts down 2 or 3, 4 inches off the tip. I want it to shut down about 1.5 feet. And that's about what this rod is. And what I mean by that is when you get that blow up, you're using braided lines. There's no stretch whatsoever. So when you get that blow up, and I like to tell people, you see the tail like your hand. When you see that tail come down, you can set the hook immediately. If it flushes on it, you got to wait a little bit. If you're using too stiff a rod, you're going to swing and miss, 60, 70% of the time. You have a rod like this that loads up properly with braided line, being that there's no stretch, you're going to end up, your hookup ratio is going to be more like 90% versus, 50, 40%. So, I mean, it's a huge deal to have the right rod for the purpose. And you guys nailed it with this rod.
Cool. I would say, and I've made this comment several times over the years, there's not another technique I can think of that's much more frustrating when using the wrong equipment.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because it's, you see everybody, like I've thrown a deep diving crank. I'm a deep cranker, but that's my thing. And I've thrown them on the wrong rods, and it's still not as bad as trying to frog with a wrong rod. And my tendency was always to go too heavy, right? So there's not enough tip, and it's hard to walk, hard to cast, hard to skip. And I watch them eat it and miss the dang things. And God, I mean, I'm like, I'll tell you, I can't have this conversation without telling this story. The best frog fisherman I've ever fished with in my life was my uncle Ricky Umstead, and he had, looking back now, back then when I was a kid, I thought he had the bomb, but he had like the worst equipment, like cheap rods and all that stuff. Dude, he never lost one. Like his hookup, Fred, were in the 90s. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And I remember we would fish a tournament. I'd be like 11, 12 years old. We'd go frogging, and one would blow up, and he'd turn around, look at me, and go, "My goodness, can you?" I mean, and then whack, and like he hooked them all. And one would blow up, and I'd shoot the frog by my head. And but man, I mean, he had honestly a more limber rod than I did, and that
Yep.
rod would load when that frog took that frog, or when that fish took that frog down. And man, I mean, God, the wrong rod frogging is it's terrible.
It really is. I mean, I grew up, really when the braids started. I knew Conrad from Power Pro when it first, exploded. I actually worked for him for a little bit, and before that we were putting it on monofilament, heavy P line, or copolymer, and we'd go 30 pound. It still had a little stretch, but it floated, and I mean, then you could use a broomstick because you had that elasticity in the line.
Yeah.
But once you balance everything out and you flip it around to realizing the braid's going to cut through that grass, get that fish to the surface quicker.
Right.
You got to have a little more tip to your rod, and then you got to have all that backbone too, and that's equally as important. So it is a fine line, and when you get the perfect rod for the situation, you will hook up way more fish than not.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So you're absolutely right.
I remember. I mean, I think back in the day we were throwing 25 or 30 big game, like.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wrong. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't love to catch them on a frog, and so to your point earlier, I know you told me about some ideas you've got. Our team has got, man, we had a new product meeting recently, and we've got a ton of stuff that's already in the works. I don't know what our timeline looks like on bringing it to market, but I am super excited. This is not only in my careers, this is the first brand I've ever been part of actually starting, but it's also maybe the most fun category there is. Like, I told our marketing team, I was like, this is straight money. Like every shot's a blow up,
Yeah.
like it's made for TV. It's so much fun. Colors, designs, just all the little tweaks. And man, it just worked out perfect where we all came together. You were the right guy to help us bring this thing to market. So man, I'm as excited as I maybe have ever been in my career.
Hey, I'm right there with you. You have no idea. I mean, I got it proud on the side of my boat. I mean, it's Frog Factory. I mean, this is gonna be big, guys. I mean, this to me is the most exciting way to catch a bass. I mean, it always has been. There's nothing like watching one. Where I'm fishing right now on the river, it's real shallow, so you actually get a little glimpse of them before it happens. You see them running across, and that's another thing, like just tips and techniques here. When you're fishing a frog or toad, a ribbit, which is another great product that we're going to have under this brand. Ribbits are something that you want to burn real fast on the surface, just like the Buckeye Berserk buzzbait that I caught fish on today. So I mean, all those techniques are all in the same category. And where I'm, the way I'm fishing right now with these fish wanting to move shallow. But when you see a fish coming behind your bait and stalking it, and then just speeding up, and you just see that wave coming before it, that's when your heart gets racing. I mean, there's nothing like it. I mean, you just don't get that any other way in any other technique.
No, you're right.
And then when that fish commits to and explodes on it, then it's just your rod, the hook set, and can you make this work or not? And in that shallow water, you really only got one chance, because those fish lunge forward, they grab your bait, and if you don't flip them on that hook set, you know what I mean, make them cartwheel out of the water, grab them, you know what I mean, they're going to nosedive right back into the mud and spook themselves and bolt out of there. So that's why, like a lot of the big bass I like to target, other than this time of the year, I like to find it in like 2 to 3 foot of water where they can come straight up on the frog and come straight back down. That's when you see that tail, you set the hook, you got them. But in this shallow water, they're lunging forward, and it's, come on, baby.
Yeah.
It's so exciting, and it's a one-shot deal. Now you can leave them alone a little bit, 15, 20 minutes, come back, and you probably get that fish to fire up again, and, it'll attack your bait. But the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they sit there and try to get that fish to bite immediately after. Just leave it alone. As long as you don't think someone else is going to fish that, just back off that area for a minute. He'll calm down and come back around.
All right, let me ask you one more question before we kind of transition over to toads from
Yeah.
frogs. Talk colors. Tell me about your what color, why, where, when, and how. Right?
Yeah, it's a good thing I got my frog box right here. Okay, so we've got, I mean, that one of the things is like, if you go to a lake and you've never fished one before, you're going to go fish the lake for the first time. I always tell people, get you a black frog, a dark color frog. It's a silhouette. It works everywhere. Anytime, doesn't have to be overcast, sunny, they'll still eat the black frog. So we've got the dog color frog, this dude right here, black. We've got some red legs in it. I did find years ago, fishing the California Delta, that when you had the red legs in the frog, you just got bigger bites. So even though you're getting the numbers of bites with the dark frog having the black legs in it, I mean the red legs with the black, it does trigger some bigger fish.
Is that the red winged blackbird deal? Do you think?
Exactly what it is. It's the red winged blackbird. Originally maybe we may need to change the name to Night Rider or something. But yeah, this frog has been probably one of my all time just go to colors right here. And then you get the shad spawn. You get, the water temperatures in the 70s. You get out there first thing in the morning. You're seeing that flickering. You might get around some docks, some styrofoam, some riprap, some even red clay banks, depending on grass lines. Wherever the shad are spawning, then I like to throw the Diva. This one right here. This is just an awesome, awesome frog. I also like this color when the fish get down on like when they lock up on the bed. So in a few days, I'm gonna transition from that brown mud bug color to this color because it targets the females. They just can't stand this thing. Walking slow over the top of a bed, they come up and crush it.
So white is your preference for a locked on bedfish then?
Well, yeah, that and I'll tell you what, it's if you took this frog, the Night Rider, imagine if we just put the black legs in, which I will do. I always carry material and stuff, and we'll do some, we'll talk about all that later. But if you want to, just get a lot of bites this, but if you look at this frog in the water and then pick up your rod with the white one on it, the Diva, this silhouette, this just looks so much bigger. Like the profile magnifies when you're throwing a white. You just get bigger bites. I mean, in general.
Same thing with a swim bait, crankbait, whatever. White just looks so much bigger in the water.
It just looks big. It looks easy. It's they want it. They grab it. We've got Gilly, which is just like a little brim. Okay, we got that one, and then we got Fred Frog. This is a color I did with another frog company years ago, and this color I had made for a website, little orange throat on it, and we called it the Fred Frog. I had to order 300 of them from a company just to make that color. And the first tournament I fished was Lake Murray, South Carolina, in 2008. So we're dating myself a little bit here, but I won that tournament, right? It was a Bassmaster Elite Series, and it was the first tournament ever won on a frog by the Bassmasters. So that was kind of a cool deal. Later that year, the Forest Wood Cup. Well, one of my good buddies that I fished with all the time, Michael Bennett, went for the Forest Wood Cup, same lake, and he was one of the only ones that actually ordered my frogs when I first came out with that color. And after I won, he had used his up. Well, I sold every one of them, so it was like I couldn't even get them anymore. Right. And so I sent mine to Michael Bennett, and he ended up winning Lake Murray $1 million on that color. So that year, I'm not sure if another bait has won as much money in that single year in 2008 as that frog, that color, the Fred Frog color. So that's a staple. I know then that company decided, we're going to put it in all the stores, and next thing you know, I got buddies that own stores are selling 20 to 1 with that color. So to this day, that's still probably my ultimate go-to tournament color.
So is there a water clarity or a scenario really? Where you would pick that over anything else?
So brim beds. Okay. I mean, honestly, it's a brim bed color. It's a male bluegill. It's just it's an excellent brim bed color. That's how I won. And in some lakes, you get brim beds that actually stay around a lot longer. And you just got to look for, cool water coming in, stuff like that. It'll make those brim beds still good throughout the year.
Gotcha.
And then this is another one. It's another color. Clear Lake, we had the yellow-headed blackbirds. Any of my California Clear Lake buddies know that's what they sound like. That color right there. But I like it because the yellow is actually a good strike indicator for you. If that yellow's gone, you better set the hook. So, but yes, it's a very, very good color. I've been catching some fish on that lately as well.
Actually, I designed a color for another company once upon a time that was yellow on top, black on the bottom, and that's what I told them. It's like watching your bobber go under. I mean, that yellow disappears, you got him.
Exactly. And then of course the one that's on my rod right now, you've got the crawfish. I mean, it's kind of just it's mud bug, crawfish, baby duck. It could be anything, right? That's just a good natural color. And then we've got our greens. We've got Kelly, which is basically an OG green. And I run green on my colors. My dad's name was Kelly, and just kind of, I don't want to make everyone sad for a moment here, but I was fishing at an event, and I found out he had passed away, and I couldn't think. All I could do was I had to fish it to requalify. I just pulled this OG green frog out of my rod locker, hit the bank, and just out of muscle memory, caught enough to make the cut, but didn't want to be there. But it was just, long story short, I got through that event. Everything was good there, and I had to have a color called Kelly. So the OG green is Kelly. That's for my dad.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that story.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too sum up there, but yeah. So let's see what other colors. We've got some ideas. I talked to Jack Dice. We're gonna do some new stuff too. I don't know how much detail you want me to throw out there right now.
Yeah, I'm always a little short on detail here because I don't. Yeah. You've seen this a million times. You've got this great idea. You're excited about it. Can't wait to do it. Somebody else comes to market with it right before you do. And it's the most infuriating part of designing tackle. It really is. So.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, no, we've got a lot of fun stuff, and all those are proven colors. And I mean, just about every tournament I fish, there's one of those frogs tied on. So,
yep, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. So.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, I feel like I've talked to more people about the Frog Factory in the last month than I have any other brand we've got. I mean, I'm so excited about it. I know you are too. I mean, and let's transition now from the Boom Boom Frog to the Ribbit. And let me give a little bit of backstory. So in my mind, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I've thrown a gazillion horny toads. Like I have bought probably every version of a reeling toad out there. And it just to be, I mean, I would have told you this if we didn't own it, but the original Ribbit to me is still like the OG toad, right? Like perfect profile, perfect action, because it's slender like it is, man. Your hookup ratio is just awesome. And I, we had an opportunity to acquire Stanley, and that's a whole other ball of yarn, but we're going to focus on the Ribbit and the top toad and the double take hook for the purpose of this conversation. We're going to roll those over into Frog Factory. And what I believe is we've got about as good a mousetrap as you can have. We're going to complement it with some new designs. We're going to put the marketing behind that bait that it deserves, because it is, in my opinion, it's the Cinco of the toad community. And there again, I'm so tempted to say too much, but we've got some super cool stuff coming. We've got some new colors. I'll throw that out there that you're going to see very soon that are the absolute sickest toad colors I've ever seen in my life. They're ridiculous. So the Ribbit, there's several variations. The original, the baby, the bull Ribbit, the runt. There's like several variations of the Ribbit. And then I usually don't get stumped on lure stuff. It's like my thing. But when this first went down, a buddy of mine reached out to me and he goes, "You ever throw the top toad?" And I said, No, man, I've seen them, but I'll be honest, we have never thrown one. And he goes, dude, it's like the most legit. Like the guys around there that throw it don't talk about it. You know, hollow body with toed legs. You know,
Soft,
we've
really
got a
soft.
hook. Yeah, and it's super soft. So I would tell you that bait is too good for people to not know about it. And if I don't know about it, man, that's a shame, because I study tackle. I spend an hour today perusing Japanese tackle websites. It's what I do. I'm a tackle geek, right? And I would tell you that I feel like we're going to have an opportunity to put a product on the map that some people A don't want us to, but B, it's not new. We didn't design it, but it's right. I have thrown it since then. I haven't got the catching thing on it. It's been kind of too cold, but not where you're at. But I'm super excited about bringing the ribbit and the top toad over to the frog factory and what we're going to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, did I lose you guys? Can you guys hear me? Uh-oh. I'm not sure what happened. I lost you there, Crispin. Can you guys hear me? I don't know how I'd know if anyone can hear me right now. But if you can't hear me, I will tell you the top toad is legit, and it's Sleeping Giant, and I've got a whole box of them way before this acquisition, came about. So, yeah, the Ribbit. When I won my first tournament that allowed me to do this for a living, the Ribbit came into play. And okay, so I just got thumbs up. You guys can hear me. Okay, I'm just sitting here rambling. But anyway, when I won my first tournament at La Crosse, Wisconsin, the Ribbit was a big player for me. I mean, that's what I found the fish throwing. It's an amazing bait to cover a lot of water, especially when you're practicing too. You got to go and find these fish, and you got to burn the bank because you just don't have a whole lot of time to learn a new body of water. Anytime you can throw a toad, the Ribbit is the one I throw, and always has been. So this is like the perfect. They complement each other between that and the Poppin Frog. So I'm super excited about all this, and again, we got some new stuff coming too. So I mean, this is exciting, and it really does make bass fishing fun. I mean, this is why I do it. This is why I fish professionally, is because I love the excitement of throwing a topwater frog. So, Frog Factory is going to be amazing, guys. I think I might be the only one on this right now. So if you guys got any questions, I can see Danny wrote something here. Boom, boom. When are you going to let us get one of the bad boys? Well, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. The Poppin Frogs are available. So they should be, we'll have them at Red Crest if you're going to be out there. We'll have them at the Bassmaster Classic. So, yeah. I'm excited. Are you there?
Yeah, man. So look,
I'm just rambling. I'm over here just.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if I live in small town America. Maybe I lost Wi-Fi. I got back on my phone, so we're gonna make chicken salad out of this. So
we got a question here. What was the bluegill bed color again? From Hook and Look. That was actually the Fred Frog color. It was my name. So yeah.
I got a light right behind my head here. But anyway, I don't know where I lost you, Fred, but man, like I think out of the gate with the Poppin Frog, the Poppin Frog, the Ribbit, the top toad, and then those are primarily in stock for the most part. We're going to run through probably the existing packaging, and people will start seeing the Frog Factory packaging pop up in stores and online. And then simultaneously, we're going to bring some of this new stuff from design to prototype to market. So it's a lot to make happen. but we're pretty jacked about it.
Super pumped. This is exciting. So thank you.
So here's all I can tell you. Like, I can sit here and talk about how excited I am. This is really probably more an opportunity for the world to pick your brain about frog fishing. I see
Right.
Tiffany Hogan ask a question
Yep.
on there. What gear ratio do you prefer? I'm gonna
You know
take a shot that it's gonna be
that
fast.
that's a really really good one, Tiffany. That's a great question. If I am trying to walk a frog in place, I'll back off and slower retrieve. Sometimes a 6.5 to 1. Typically, it's a 7.2 to 1 is what I like. If I'm just if I'm going to be burning the rivets and the top toes, I like an 8 to 1. So you definitely got to have a different gear ratio for different things. But if you just want a good all-purpose 7 to 1, 7.2 to 1, whatever, that's a really good way to go. Very rarely will I ever try to walk it in place behind, like, if I go down to Rayburn and I've got a hay field and I got just that little pocket and I want to just walk that frog. I don't like to change my cadence. I've got to where like I said earlier, it's just muscle memory the way I work it. So I can keep the same thing going on a 6.5 and it'll just it's like a little ninja. It just wants to stay in one spot. And so I can walk it behind that hay field. And I like that slower retrieve reel just to keep it there. If you start increasing the speed ratio, you start moving it forward more as you're twitching it the same. Some people think I work a frog really, really fast, and I've watched video of me working it, but all it's doing is turning back and forth really, really fast. I'm not really just winding it fast. And it looks like I'm just, the way I'm doing it looks like it's really fast. So if you stick with a 7, you're really good to go. I know a lot of people will just say go 8 just because you get that blow up. You want to wind back in real quick and fire it back out there, which makes a lot of sense if you can slow it down, but you get more power in your reel with a slower ratio. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. So a 7's the way to go.
Interesting. Do you use
Yeah.
relatively the same gear for a toad and a frog for the most
Well,
part?
toad, I will go a little bit faster. I like an 8 because a lot of times, you're burning the bank and you're covering water. And if you do happen to miss one, you need to fire it back. I mean, you've got 2 to 3 seconds. I always tell people if you go over 4 seconds, you're not getting that fish to bite again. So you want to be able to wind it back in and
Right.
get it over there again. So I like a fast retrieve for that. Not necessarily meaning I'm reeling it super fast. I want to keep it to where it's going, and then sometimes I'll vary the speed just by controlling the wrist a little bit and making the handle go a little bit quicker, and that'll just kind of make it pulsate on the water a little bit.
What's the scenario? What's the scenario where you would prefer a toad over a frog?
It's a good question. I feel like the fish will tell you. The fish will tell you. If I'm just going, I like to have them both on the deck. If I'm going to a body of water and I'm practicing, I want to burn the bank. I want to throw, a toad. I want to just cover the water. Really, it's if you get down to Florida and you're around like Kissimmee grass, stuff like that, I will frog it when it's really slick and calm. But if you get a little bit of a breeze, it's hard to beat that rivet going through that stuff. So it's more of just that like shallow, skinny stuff. A rivet, something moving fast, because they're gonna chase it. They're gonna key in on it 30, 40 feet away, and they're gonna want to chase it. They may just not get the attention if you're just walking it real slow in that skinny water. So something faster, something anywhere you would think of throwing a buzz bait, but you feel like it's too thick of mats, grass, whatever it is. That's when you want to throw the toad.
Speaking of a buzz bait, before this Stanley thing ever was a thing, before we acquired Stanley and the Ribbit, we were filming some content last year. I think it was in the fall for this G Buzz that we came out with at Buckeye with Gerald. And I love a dang ribbit. So I put a ribbit on the back of that G Buzz, and I'm talking about torched them. Like some of the best fish catches I've ever gotten on camera in my life. And you mentioned buzzbait. It kind of took me back to that, where, man, it's an awesome complementary bait on the back of a, what I would call a skirtless buzzbait, a toader style buzzbait, and that ribbit, once again, because of that thinner profile, you hook everything. And then that's cool. I guess I would have said kind of the same thing. I was curious how you determine one over the other,
Yeah.
frog versus toad. So
Yeah, and a lot of times the fish just tell you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But like you were saying, that G-Man buzzbait he's got, I mean, that with that ribbit on it, you can skip that thing so good under the docks. And somebody just asked me a little while ago if I ever use 65 pound. I wanted to answer that. I do 65 pound, especially when I'm fishing around giant bass. I mean, if I'm down in Florida or I'm down there, I go 65. I mean, I don't mess around with a 50. But if I'm making these really, really long casts, and the 50 it's just easier to get that the castability of the 50 makes it easier for me. But 65 around giants, absolutely.
right. I see Brad Brown post a question. Love the top toad hooks too. Yeah, that's the double take.
Yeah, a lot of guys use a bunch of different toads with that. That is the one everybody uses, regardless of that. So yeah, that's
yeah. He's made the comment. I hope they'll be unchanged and still available. That's our plan right now, unless for some reason, we can't source something that they did previously. I I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but I'm gonna tiptoe on it real quick. Like every day, I read something on social media about how we've changed this, or with Yamamoto, or with Buckeye, or Big Bite, whatever the brand may be. It's coming with Phoenix. It's coming with. I promise. It's gonna. I read these comments every day, and the fact of the matter is, we try not to change things. I mean, if something works really good, like that double take hook, the ribbit, like why would we change it? It doesn't make any sense. But I get why you would ask the question, or rather make the comment, Brad. But just to give you a little peace of mind, our intent is not to change it. I think we all believe the same thing you do, is that people love that hook the way it is.
Yeah, but see, Crispin, if we told everyone we were going to change it, you'd sell everything out real quick, and then you'd have all the new packaging.
Oh, look, man! Every day I see a comment. Somebody tags me in a comment. Oh, Yamamoto changed everything. I'm buying up all the green bags. I'm like, dude, buy them, please, buy them all up, because we're just going to continue to make the same thing and put it in a new bag. So we'll sell you those too. So,
yep.
What else we got? I can't see the chat. I'm on my phone now because something went haywire on my laptop.
Yeah, like I said, this is an exciting time in bass fishing. I mean, this is it's exciting for me. It's exciting for anybody that loves topwater fishing. And we're going to bring some really cool products to the table. And I it's endless what we could do.
Yep. I mean, I'm going to get off this call. I've got some ideas, because this kind of stuff, just talking back and forth, right, makes my brain start bouncing around. And I'm going to get off here. When we get off here, I'm going to go run to my desk and go jot some notes down so I don't forget them. But I can see Brandon Ray asked a question. What's your biggest frog bass?
So it's funny. That's a great question, because I've caught a lot of 10-pounders on a frog. Like when I was on the Delta, I fished it like 5 days a week. I mean, it's just, I don't know how many 8 to 10-pound fish I've caught. And I was at Santee Cooper for the first time 17 years ago in the Bassmaster Elite that Preston Clark won when they were all in beds. I had gotten on a frog bite. There's a really good pre-spawn frog bite that I think is way overlooked. I mean, obviously that's what I did all day today, but I caught one. And I just weighed a 13 on the Delta. So I got an idea how big a giant is, right? And a California Delta. And I did not catch that one on a frog. But I caught this one in some lily pads at Santee Cooper that, if it wasn't close to 13, I mean, it was at least a 12. So that might have been the biggest one I can actually say I caught on a frog. I just never weighed it. But I've weighed in 10-pounders in tournaments at Clear Lake, Delta. I've got big bass checks, and like, it's funny because that's like what a frog has got me so many big fish checks over the years. That's what it does. It gets big bites, and they're the most exciting bites, and it makes you, when you catch one on it and it gets you a big fish in a tournament, you think about it for weeks on end, and it's what you It's what you wake up in the morning excited as you're drinking coffee, ready to go. Whenever I can go throw a frog. But yeah. What we got here?
Stinger Sam Stanley. Fred, do you seal the line eye on your boom boom? Do you have issues with them filling with water?
With the line eye. So, you know, and again, when you come out with baits and stuff, when you first put them on the market, sometimes there's things you got to change and stuff. There was a time where we tie braid around the nose of it, and you can do that if you just catch a bunch of fish and fish are going to do some damage to any lure. So if you want to like repair one and make it last as long, and I mean, this doesn't do me any good when you're trying to sell frogs, but if you tie some braid around the eye and pinch it real tight, that'll keep it from wanting to pull down. So that's a good trick you can do. I had a buddy in California show me that. I was, it was my frog, so I was like, cut it off, put a new one on. After, you catch 10, 15 fish on it, no big deal. But now you make them last even longer. So by doing just a simple thing like that. So yeah, that's a good little trick.
The other side of that coin is I've never had a frog that I really liked because I caught them good on it that was extraordinarily durable. You know what I mean? It's like the more durable the frog is, kind of the worse the frog is. It's been my experience. Now, I'm not saying that somebody doesn't have one out there that never tears up, that never takes on water, that's not durable or that is durable. But my experience has kind of been the opposite. It's that once again, I'm going to use the Senko as an analogy. What makes the Senko special is what makes it not durable. I wouldn't trade durability for bite.
The fact that they blow up in the fish's mouth is why you hook so many fish. That's what you want in a soft plastic.
That's right. But my experience has been the same with the frog. The ones that honestly don't last as long, that's the ones I seem to get the most bites on. So,
right.
Good trade. Well, I tell you what, man. We've been. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you have it. I mean, I'm just getting close to wrapping it up. So
I think a lot of people, when you're using, your heavy action rod, braided line, and you're setting the hook on, anything that's 3 pounds and heavier, and you're just, muscling that sucker in, you're going to tweak things a little bit. And a lot of people don't realize, and it's something you just got to check with any time. I mean, check your hooks. If they look a little bent out, if your hooks start bending out a little bit, get your pliers, bend them back where they need to be. But when that separates, that's why you were saying earlier, you'll tie braid around them so they don't separate a little bit. That could open up the hole a little bit and then take on some water. But in reality, you caught a big fish on that frog, so it kind of paid for itself right there, right? I mean, that's why you bought it, for that experience. So, I mean, if you can make a frog last 10, I mean, I don't even know how many fish I caught today on this frog. I never even changed it, and it still looks, it looks pretty good. It's sanded down a little bit on the belly, but heck, it's ready to go for another day. So maybe a few more days. But it's just how the blow up works out, how you set the hook, how you wind it in, what kind of cover you're around. You can tweak things, unintentionally, and then that's just that's frogging.
It's the nature of the beast, right? Just
nature of the beast, exactly.
Part of it. So, well, I have no doubt we're gonna build some cool stuff into some frogs in the future. Some behind the scenes tweaks that I know we've all kind of got cooked up. But man, we've been about 45 minutes or so, and kind of had an opportunity to do what I hope to do: tell the world what is Frog Factory, how it came to be, kind of what the vision is, and man, I can't thank you enough for being on here tonight and being part of our family that we can lean on when it comes to. I mean, the fact is, I think the worst thing a bait company can do, and it happens, is you've got these guys who are experts in a field, in a subject, in a genre of fishing, and you don't go, hey, how do we make this better? And that's man, we're gonna really ride you on these frogs and rely on your expertise. And I think the culmination of that and our ability to produce top-notch products is going to go hand in hand. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited. Thank you for the opportunity, and man, just Let's do this. Let's
Let's
get it
do
going.
it. So, guys, keep your eyes open. You know, lots of new stuff coming. You're going to start to see that new packaging as we move kind of through the old packaging in these existing products. But there's going to be a lot on the horizon coming soon from the Frog Factory. So, man, hit us up, shoot us messages if you have any questions. If we can help you with anything, one of the things we aim to be is very easy to access and very helpful to our consumers. So let us know how we can help you, and keep looking for that frog logo. We're gonna have some pretty cool stuff coming around the corner. So Fred, man, go spend some time with your family. Thank you for jumping on, and thank all y'all for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Crispin.
Take care. Bye bye.